Hi everyone, welcome you all. So in the today's video, I'm going to show you how we can locate elements on the web page in Playwright. So basically this concept is most important because whenever you want to perform any action on the element on the web page, before that we need to locate it. We need to identify that element and then we can perform the action. So throughout the automation, there are two important things we need. One is locating elements, and once you locate the element, then we can perform certain action on that element, right? So the action can be changed based upon the type of element. So normally what type of elements we can see on the web page? Normally we can see input boxes, radio button, check boxes, drop downs, images, links. So these are all different type of elements we can see on the web page. So before performing any action on those web elements, we need to locate them. So to locate web elements on the Playwright, and which is provided certain number of methods or functions, and in which we have to use locators. And what type of things are supported to locate the elements? So basically the property. So if we can use any property of the element, so the properties we can capture from the DOM of the particular web page. So we can take any property, any unique property of the element through which we can locate the element. And we can also use CSS, so cascading style sheet. So CSS selector, CSS also we can use to locate the element, and Playwright will support. And then XPath also we can use to locate the element. So we can use either property, it can be ID or it can be name or whatever. We can use it to locate the element, but that should be unique property for that element. Second thing is CSS, all the combinations of CSS we can write to locate the elements. And finally, we can write XPath. So XPath also will able to locate the element. So how can we write methods, and what are the different functions or methods are available in the Playwright to locate the elements? Now I'm going to show you practical example. Now go to VS Code editor. Now this is my new project which I already created in my previous video. Under test folder, we are going to create a new test. I'm taking a new file and I'll name it as locators.spec.js. Now in this, I'm going to write some piece of code. So whenever you write a new test in the Playwright, first we need to import Playwright test module. So for that, what we need to do, we need to put two curly brace, and one is test function we required. So we required test function, and then we need one more function called expect. Test function will be providing, or we can write a test block, and expect will be used for validations. Expect these two things we will get it from. We need to use something called require, and here we need to specify the module name in the single quotation @playwright/test. So this particular module we will get from the Playwright, and test and expect. So there are so many functions are there in this module, but we need only these two, test and expect, and we can make it as a const like this. So we need to import that. So there is another way to import these two functions from the same module. So there is another way we can import by using import keyword. So we can use import keyword. Import two functions we required, test function and then expect function. From which module we can say from, in the single quotation as a @playwright/test. So this is another way of importing functions from Playwright/test module. So these are the two important functions which we are going to use while writing our Playwright test. So you can use this syntax, the first one, or you can use second one. Anything is correct. So now we need to write one test block, test function block. So I can say test, and inside this we need to provide the name of the test. So I'm giving some name to the locators. Okay. So I can say locators is my test name, and comma. So we need to write one anonymous function, bracket and arrow and greater than. This is a anonymous function. So whenever you say anonymous function, inside the bracket, we need to pass one fixture called page. Again, the last video I have discussed about this. So page is a fixture we need to pass inside the anonymous function. And moreover, to solve the promise, we need to write one more syntax called async. In the last video, I have detailedly explained what is this async and what is await keywords. So every test method, whenever you write a anonymous function, before starting the function, we need to specify asynchronous keyword. Async keyword we need to specify. Now let us start writing the code. The first thing is we need to launch our application, or we need to open the application on the website. So for that, we need to access this page fixture. In that, we have a method called goto. So in this, we need to specify the URL of our application. Now I'm going to use this application URL, and this is a URL of demoblaze.com. So this is the application URL I'm going to launch. So specify that URL. And this command semicolon is optional in JavaScript. Even if you put semicolon, no problem. Even if you don't put, no problem. Semicolon of the end of the statement is optional in JavaScript. Okay, so this particular function goto from the page will launch this particular application on the browser. And before using any functions from the page fixture, we have to use something called await keyword. So whenever you are calling for some function from the page, you have to specify await keyword, because this will make sure it will wait for the promise to complete. Okay, so this is command mandatorily required. And once you launch your application, now I'm going to do some test here on this particular web page. So what I want to do is, as soon as you launch my page, I want to click on this login. And once you click on the login, now we'll get a login form, and here username, password I will provide, and then I will click on the login. Now let us try to do this activity, and I will locate these elements by using different type of locators. So first let us start with the login. So how can we locate the element in Playwright? So to locate the element in the Playwright, so there are multiple ways are there. So we have to use one function from the Playwright. So what is that function is, if you want to locate any element on the web page in the Playwright, so we need to use one method called await page fixture dot locator. This is a function we have. In this, we need to specify attribute of the element, or it can be attribute, or it can be XPath, or it can be CSS, whatever we have, we can just specify here. So here in the single quotation, we need to specify either property or XPath or CSS, whatever locator you want. You can just pass this locator in the single quotation, and then we'll perform the action. Suppose if you want to click on that element, we use a method called click. This is a syntax, await page.locator, and here we pass the locator. It can be property of the element, or it can be CSS, or it can be XPath, whatever. You can just provide and dot click. This is one approach. And there is another approach is await page. From the page, we have to call a click method directly. And inside this, you can pass the locator. Here we can pass the locator directly. So this is another approach. So the first approach is what? We can specify the locator first and then perform the click action. Now here we are performing the click action on the element, whichever is having this particular locator. So these are the two different approaches which we have in Playwright, and whichever you are familiar with, you can use it. So most of the times, this is a most preferable approach, await page.click. A click is just a method. Okay, it will change depends on the type of element. Suppose if it is a link or if it is a button, we use click method. Similarly, if you want to provide some text value, suppose there is an input box, if you want to provide some value in it, input box, then we can use either fill method, or we can use either type method. There are different methods are there. So we'll discuss them later. So here we will mainly focusing on the locators part. Okay, so to locate any element, first we need to specify await page.locator and locator of the element, and then perform the action whichever is relevant to that element. And the second approach is what? You can directly call click method from the page fixture, page.click, and specify the locator directly. So these are the two approaches which we have in the Playwright to locate the elements. So now I'm going to use both approaches. I will show you one by one. Now go back. Now the first thing is we need to locate the login link, and we need to perform click action on this. So now my first thing is we need to click on login button. So here I'm trying to use some property as a locator. Okay, so I'm using some property as a locator, property of the element as a locator. So what is the command we have to use? Await page.locator. Here we have to provide the locator, and after providing the locator, we call click function or click method like this. So now here we need to provide the locator in the double or single quotations. So this time I'm going to pass some property as a locator. As I discussed, the locator can be a property or CSS or can be XPath. Now I'm just going to pass property of the element. So if I look at this login, inspect this element, and if I go and see the DOM here, and this is the element. If I look at this element, login element, there is an ID attribute available. And there are some other attributes also available. So you can, if you have a name attribute or any other unique attributes, you can use that as a locator. Now what I'll do is I will take this name ID equal to login directly. You need to copy the attribute along with the value or the property along with the value. So you can call it as an attribute or property, whatever. Just copy the entire thing. And now we need to use that as a locator. So here I'm pasting over here. And when you're pasting attribute and value, you no need to keep the quotations. Just remove this. Okay. So this is how we can specify the property of the element. It can be name or equal to something or ID, class, tag, whatever you want. You can just specify it. So this will locate the element and then perform the click action. So this will perform the click action on the element. This is one approach. And then there is one more approach. Suppose I can say await page dot. I can directly call click method like this, click, and here you can specify the locator directly. So the locator is what? ID equal to login to. That is a simple statement. Either you can use this approach or you can use this one. You can directly call locator method, and inside this you can pass the locator and then you call the click method. Click is an action method. And if you don't want to use the locator, then you can directly call click method from the page. And on which element you have to perform click action, you have to specify the locator of that element. This is basically property I have used. Okay, this is how we can just click on the login button. Now, so the next action is what? After clicking on the login, so we will get a form like this. So it's a small modal kind of window. So in this, we need to provide username and password into the username field and password field. Now, this is basically an input box, right? Now, let us see how can we handle this input box. So here, this time I'm going to use some other type of locator. Let's say, let us try to use CSS. So if I look at this element, username element, this is an input box. And there are certain attributes are there, type, class, ID is there. So I want to create one CSS. Now, if I go back to the selector hub, by taking help of selector hub, you can capture locators for those elements. And this is provided some relative XPath, relative CSS and everything. So if you want to write your own CSS, you can just write it here. Now I'm going to write one CSS based on some attribute which is provided for this element. So let us say there is ID is available for this element. So by using this ID attribute, I'm going to create one CSS. How to create? So whenever you want to use ID as a CSS, you have to start with the hash. And what is the ID here? Login username. So that I can provide login user name. So now we can see this CSS is exactly matching this element, username element. This is a CSS. Now I'm going to copy the CSS and I'll use as a locator. Now go back. So this time I'm going to provide the username. So here we need to fill the form, right? So we can say provide username. So to provide username, so here I'm using CSS. So to provide the username, what is the command? You can use await page dot. You can directly, again, there are multiple ways. Page dot, you can write like this, locator of in the quotations. You can specify CSS like this. And we need to provide the value in it, right? So here we can use a method called fill. So fill is a method through which we can pass the value. So now I'm passing a username like this. So this is the one approach. So page.locator and provide the locator, which is basically CSS. Dot fill is a function through which we can pass the value in the input box. So this is one approach. Suppose if you don't want to use locator method directly, also you can do it. So if you want to do directly, you can say await page.fill. Okay, you can simply say page.fill and specify the locator. This is the most easiest than previous one. So you can specify the CSS in the single quotations and then end of the statement. So here fill is already we used here. So this one and this one is almost similar. You can see here in the previously, when you're clicking on the login also, I have used the same approach. Directly I'm calling click method, fill method from the page itself. Okay, so now we have provided the username, and there is one more method also there. Instead of fill, you can also use one more method called type. So this is also right method. I can say await page dot type and then specify the locator. So this is also a right method. Either you can use fill or you can use type if you want to provide some text in the input box. So here I have used CSS as a locator. Okay, so once you provided username, next we want to provide the password. Now go back to your application. Now get the CSS for the password element. Now locating the password, and if I look at the password, there is ID is available for password also. Now the ID value is this one. So by using this ID, I'm going to create new CSS. And if you want to create CSS tag with ID, tag with any attribute combination, you can specify. So input is my tag, and in the square brackets, we have to specify attribute and value. So you can also write CSS like this, right? You can say input, what is an attribute here? I'm taking ID as an attribute. So I can say ID equal to the value of ID is what? Login password. So this is also CSS for password element. This is also CSS. Now I'm taking this and let us try to use it here. So password element. So we need to we already provided username. Now we need to provide password. So to provide the password, again, the command is what? Await page dot. You can use type or fill or whatever. So I'm trying to use fill. So don't confuse because I'm showing multiple ways to do it. Okay, either you can follow one way. So here we use fill and type. So you can use fill or you can use type. Anything is fine. So let us follow one approach. Let's say I'm following fill. Okay, here is a fill. Similarly, here also I'm taking fill. And here we need to pass the locator. So basically, what is this? This is a CSS. So inside the single quotation, another single quotation not allowed. So what we can do is we can just when I use CSS, right? So we can just remove this single quote. Here you can put double quote, and inside this single quote is allowed like this. So this is a CSS for password element. So on that element, we have to fill the value also, right? Right, how to fill the value. So, and one more thing we forgot. In the previously, when I pass username, page.fill, this is the locator. But what is the value we have to fill? Where we have to provide? Here, we need to pass one more parameter. Here, we need to pass value. Okay, so we need to also pass value. This is a syntax. Same thing here also, when I use type, the locator, comma, and value we have to pass. Okay, so this is how we can pass the value into the input box. Same thing for password also, same thing repeated. Await page.fill, and this is the element, comma, and what is the value we have to pass in it? We have to pass password. So I'm passing password into that element. Okay, so this is how we can pass CSS also. Here also I have used CSS, tag name along with the attribute combination I have used. So if you have a class attribute, you can also use class dot class value you can pass. Okay, so this is how we can provide the password. So now what do we need to do? We need to click on login button. So now go back to your application. So let's try to inspect the login element. So for the login element, this time I'm going to use XPath. Okay, so how to use an XPath? This is the XPath of the login element. This is the XPath of the login element I'm capturing from the selector. This is a XPath of the login element. So if you want to use this XPath, so then go back and we need to click on login button. So how to click on the login button? First, we need to locate that element. Click on login button. So to click on the login button, again, same command. So await page.click. Okay, page.click, and here we pass the locator. So XPath I'm going to pass here. So here single quotations are there outside. You can just make it as a double quotations. Okay, and internally you can make it as a single quotation. So this is the XPath of the element. So here we no need to pass any value, just we need to perform click action. So one locator we need to pass. But in case of fill, we have to pass locator along with the value, which value we have to pass. We need to specify. So perfect. Now we have passed username in this particular field. Then we have passed password, and then we have clicking on the login. So after that, we need to verify something. So now I can go back to your application. Now let's manually log into application. Okay, so once you log into the application, so I want to verify the logout is present or not here. That logout is present or not. After successful login, you will see this logout, right? So I want to verify this is logout button or link is visible on this particular page or not. That I want to verify. So how to verify the visibility of the element in the Playwright? So for that, first we need to capture this element, and then we can apply an assertion on this. Visible assertion we need to apply. Okay, so first of all, let us capture this element. And again, I'm taking the XPath of this element. Okay, so how to capture that element in the Playwright? So here we are verifying logout link presence. So how to verify the logout link presence? First of all, we need to capture that element. So await page dot locator. So this time we are not going to perform any action in it. So we need to capture the element by using locator method. So specify the locator, and this is the XPath I'm specifying. And what we need to do for this element, we have to store that element in a variable. So we have to store that element in a variable. So keep the entire XPath in the double quotations, and internally value we can give in the single quotation. So this is an XPath of that element. So this element, we have to check whether it is visible or not. So we can store that element in a variable. I can create one variable, logout link, and I can make this variable as a const. So now we need to check visibility of this element. So for that, we need to write one assertion. We need to wait one validation point using expect. So await expect. So what you are expecting, this element should be visible. So expect and to be visible. So dot to be, and there are so many methods are already available. So we need to verify the presence or visibility of the element. So I can say to be visible, and just we need to call this function like this. So this will verify the logout link is present or not on the web page. And after that, I just want to close my application, close my browser. So what you can do, await page dot close. That's it. Okay, so for every command in the page, we have to use await. Okay, and before writing the anonymous function, we need to write async. Okay, in the Playwright test. So here I have used a property of the element as a locator. And here I have used CSS of that element as a locator. And now here I have used XPath. So here we use something called XPath of the element. So whatever XPath you want to pass, you can just pass. So here also I have used XPath of the element and get that element. And then we expected that element to be visible on the web page. So this is how we can find that element by using different type of options. We can use either property, or we can use either CSS, or we can use either XPath. Okay, and various types of methods we can use. So this is the first method. So we can locate elements. Okay, locate. Basically, we are locating single elements, right? Single element. Specific element we are locating. So for that, these are the ways. Await page.locator and specify the locator, whatever you want, and then apply the method. Click. If you want to click on the element, you can click. And the same thing we can write like this: await page.click at locator. And if it is an input box, how to write an input box? We need to fill the value in the input box. In that case, we can write like this: await page.locator of, and here we can pass property, XPath, CSS, whatever. So locator, and here we use something called fill. Okay, here we need to pass some value in the single quotation. If it is an input box, this is for what? Input box. Okay, and if it is a link or button, we need to follow this link or button. So this is a method we have to use. And there is another method we have input first. What is that? We can directly say await page dot, okay, and a locator, and specify whatever locator you created. It can be property or XPath at CSS, whatever, and then use type. And this is also same thing we'll do. So type and value. And if you still want to access method from the directly from the page, you can write await page dot fill, and here you can pass whatever locator you want to pass. You can pass this locator, and along with the value in the second parameter, we have to pass value. And same thing you can also write by using type. So await page dot type and locator and then value. So these are the many ways we have to handle the input box. Okay, so now let us run our script. So we have launch our application. We click on the login button, and then use login box is open. Then we provided username, then we provided the password, and after that we successfully click on the login and then verify logout link is present or not, or visible or not. Now let us save the file, and to run this test, what we can do, we can go to the new terminal, and here the command is what? npx playwright test. And which test you want to execute? locators.spec.js. So locators.spec.js. And on which browser you want to execute? I want to execute specific browser, so I can say -- project Chromium. And by default, test will execute it on the headed mode, right? Headless mode. So I want to execute in the headed mode, so I can also specify - headed. Okay, now let us try to execute our script. So now it is launching my application. Open the login box, provided the data, and successfully log in, and my test is got passed. Okay, so this is how simply we can locate specific element or single web element by writing the locator. It can be the property of the unique property of the element. It can be CSS of that element or XPath. So these things we can get it from the dev tools, or you can use selector hub tool through which we can capture these values. Okay. Now, so with this, we have successfully located specific web elements on the web page. Now, sometimes we need to also locate multiple web elements. So for example, on our web page, I want to find total number of links on this page. Now I want to capture all the links from the page, or I want to capture, let's say in the home page, I want to capture all the product names. So currently there are 9 different products are displaying on the page. Now I want to capture all the product names, right? So in those cases, we need to locate multiple web elements. We need to capture all the web elements, and then we have to extract the text of that web elements, and then we can do some validations. So now let us look at how can we locate multiple web elements. Okay. So to locate web elements, we have one more command, specific command is available. So locate multiple web elements. So to locate multiple web elements, the command is await, same command, page. And here, instead of specifying the locator, so earlier we have used page.locator, page.click like this, right? So instead of specifying the locator method, we simply call $. And inside this, we can specify the locator, which will exactly match with multiple web elements. Okay, so this locator should be able to match multiple web elements. So this particular command will return multiple web elements, and those web elements we have to store in a variable. So the elements, you can make that variable as a constant. So await page dot $, and this locator we have to pass. And this locator should be able to match with multiple web elements. Then it will return all the elements. Suppose if the locator is not matching with any of the elements, it will simply return empty, like this, no values, no elements. Okay, but it will not throw any kind of exception. So if the locator is pointing with one single web element, only that element will be returned. One single web element will be returned. If the locator is pointing with multiple web elements or matching with multiple web elements, then it will return multiple web elements. So this is the one more method we have to use to locate multiple web elements. Okay, so let me show you one example. So as I said before, in this particular page, right? So I want to find I want to find all the links. I want to capture the text of all the links which are present in this particular web page. So how to capture the links? So first of all, we need to write a locator or property we have to use, which will match all the links which are present in the web page. So if I go back to inspect and go to, you can just search on the dev tools also, like say Control F. And when I say anchor tag //a, so this is matching with 33. So that means totally 33 links are there. So why I'm using a here? A is a tag name of link. So which will match with all the links on the web page, right? So if you go back to the selector hub and you can say //a, which is matching with 33 elements. So all the links will be matched with this anchor tag. So we can use this to locate multiple web elements. Now let us capture all the link text from the web page. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new test. So new file I'm going to create in the test, and here locating multiple elements dot spec dot js. Okay, so now let us write the code for locating multiple web elements. So for that, what we need to do, we need to first import required module. So for that, what we need to do, we need to write this statement. So require Playwright /test, get test and expect functions from test module, Playwright module, and then we will write the test block. So test, and inside these two parameters, the first one is title of the test. So how to specify the title here? Locate multiple elements. So I'm giving some title of the test, and then we need to write one anonymous function. So this is the anonymous function, and this anonymous function will take page picture that we need to specify in the curly brace. And before writing the anonymous function, we need to write async keyword. Okay, done. So async A is a lowercase character, async keyword. So now we need to implement the test. So as part of the first step, what we need to do, we will launch our application. So to launch our application, what we have to do again? We have to call one method called goTo method. So page dot goTo, and here we specify the URL. So whatever application we are going to launch, you can just specify the URL of application. So this will launch our application, and before that we need to specify await page.goto. So this will launch our application on the browser. Now, so as soon as you launch the application on the browser, the next thing is what I want to capture all the links which are available in the web page. So for that, we need to write a separate method we have to call. So how to call it? Await dot $. So this is a symbol, await dot $. And here specify the locator. So anchor tag is matching with all the links. So I'm just specifying A, which is representing the anchor tag of the element. So this will return all the links. And those links we have to store in a variable. So I'm just creating one variable called links. And the type of this variable I'm just defining as a const. Const links equal to await. We missed something. Await page dot $, guys. Okay, page dot $. And this will return all the links which are present in the page. Why it is returning all the links? Because we specified the anchor tag. So this tag will matching with all the links. So now I got all the links. Now I want to print the text of every link. So for that, we need to write one looping statement. So we can write one for loop, and the looping statement syntax is almost the same for Java and JavaScript. So if you know already looping statements, how to use looping statements in Java programming, the same syntax we have to follow even in the JavaScript. Okay, so I'm writing some enhanced for loop or for each loop here. So in this for loop, I'm specifying this links variable, so which contains all the links in the form of elements. Now I'm extracting every link in this variable, and this variable also I will define with the constant because that's a variable. So from the links, okay, so here we use something called, it's not a colon actually, we have to use something called off. Okay, so off, but in Java we have a colon here, but in JavaScript we have to just say colon. So from all the links, we have to capture each and every link into the variable, each and every link into this variable. And from this link variable, we have to extract the text value of the link. So to extract the text value, we can simply say await link dot text content. There is a method called text content. So what is the text content method will do? This will return the text of the element. Even in the Selenium WebDriver, we have a similar method called getText method. So there we will use getText. So here it is a similar method in the JavaScript, text content. So this will get the text value of the link, and that I'm going to store in another variable called link text. Now again, this variable I will define with the const. And after that, if you just want to print that link, you can simply say console.log, and you can say link text. That's it. So with this simple looping statement, we can read every link into this variable, and from that link, we can capture the text value into the variable, and then we can print it here. So this way we can capture all the links into the variable, then we can read each and every link, then we can print in the console window. So let us try to execute this code and see whether it is printing all the links or not. Now I'm saving the file and go to the terminal. Now I'm running the code. So this is the command. So let me write the command. npx playwright test, and what is a file I'm going to run? Locating multiple elements. So locating, just a second. Yeah, so locating multiple elements dot spec.js. And now I want to run this only in the Chrome browser. Say ---- project Chromium, and in the headed mode I want to execute. So ---- headed. Okay. Now let us try to execute. So this will capture all the links from the web page, and it will print all the link text in my console window. If I look at this, these are all different link text. So you can see these are the header links are printed, sign up, previous, next, and category links are printed. Everything is got printed like this. So similarly, let us try to capture the products from the home page. So there are so many number of products are there. If I look at in the page, there are 9 products are there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Total 9 products are there in my home page. Now I want to capture the product names from the home page. I want to capture the product names, right? So how to capture it? So again, we have to write proper locator, which will able to match with all the labels of this particular products. So let me try to use XPath for this element this time. So how to write an XPath? Inspect and go to selector hub. And in the selector hub, I'm going to write my own XPath. So how to locate only products list from this home page? So let us try to locate one element first of all. And this is the first product element, Samsung Galaxy S6. Now little go up. This H4 tag is there. Again, little go up. There is a div tag. Again, go up. There is another div tag and there is another div. Now, if I look at this, this is the main parent tag. So which contains number of div tags, and every div tag is representing one product, right? So let us start from this main div tag. So the ID is available, tbody ID. So for that, I'm writing one XPath. So / div and @ ID equal to and tbody ID. So this is the ID and this is pointing to the product section. And inside this, there are multiple divs are there. So every div is representing one product. So I can say / div. So it is representing all the products. Now again, if you expand first div, which contains again one more div and which contains a anchor tag and a div, and where is actual label is present inside the div actually. So inside the H4, inside this anchor tag. So the product text is present inside the H4. So from this particular div tag, I directly want to jump to the H4 tag. So in the relative XPath, I can directly specify H4. Now exactly this XPath is pointing to labels. And again, in not H4 element actually, inside this, there is one more anchor tag is there. And inside this anchor tag, there is a text here. This is the text I want to capture. That is part of anchor tag. So again, I will specify A here. Now 9 elements are exactly matching with this XPath. Now with this XPath, I'm going to locate all the products. Now go back to your script. Okay, so let me comment this code. So now I want to capture all the products. For that, I'm going to write a command like this, await page dot $. So if you want to locate multiple web elements, we use $. and inside this locator. So we have captured XPath already, so that you can directly specify. So single quotation inside the single quotation not allowed. Similarly, double quotation inside the double quotation not allowed. So outside you can put double quotes, and then inside you can use single quotes. So this is the locator. That means it's an XPath actually. So with this, we captured all the products and stored them in a variable. So let me create one variable called products, and the type of the variable is I'm just creating as a constant. So now we need to read each and every product element. From that, we need to extract the product name. So for that, again, I'm going to write one for each loop. So here, products. And from the products, we need to get each and every product one by one. So I'll define one variable called const product of products. And this product is a variable which contains one by one. So from the products, which will read each and every product element in this variable. Now from this product variable, I want to capture the text from that product. So how to capture again? Await product is an element. Await product is an element. From that, we need to extract the text value. So we use one method called text content. As I said before, this is the equivalent of getText method in Selenium WebDriver. So text content, and this will return product name, actually label of the product, or you can say product name. And this is also variable I will define with the const. So as soon as you get the product name, you can just print in the console window, just like this, console.log, and I can say product name. That's it. So this is how we can simply write a looping statement to read each and every product into this variable. And from that variable, we are extracting the text content and storing in another variable, and then we're just printing it. Okay. So this is how we can simply locate multiple web elements. Now let us try to execute this code, save the file, and now go to the terminal and run the command. Again, npx playwright test, and my test name is what? Locating multiple web elements. Locating multiple elements dot spec.js, and I want to run only on Chrome browser, so I can say ---- project Chromium, and then headed mode I want to run, so I can say headed, and okay. So now my test is got passed, but it is not printed any links. I think I have run some different thing. Okay, so let me try once again. Let me try to run once again. So let me run once again. So when you run your code, so it is launching my page, and then you can see in the output, we got the options like this. So sometimes what happens is when you run your script, so from this page, because we are locating multiple web elements, so all the elements may not be available at the one time. So it takes a few seconds of time. So once you execute your test, so immediately you will get all the options sometimes. So sometimes you may not get. So for that, what we can do is, so before getting all the options, all the products into the variable, you can just wait till all the products are displayed on the web page. So for that, we can add one more statement here. There is one more method called page.wait for selector. So this is the command we can use, wait for selector. And in the double quotations, we can specify whatever locator you passed here. So this is optional. Sometimes if you face any issues, you can just add this option. So page.wait for selector, and this is a locator, whatever is locator we have created to match with all the products which we need to specify. So this command will wait till all the products are displayed on the web page. And after that, it will get all the products into the variable. Then it will try to print in my console window. Now let me clear everything. Now again, I'll try to run once again. So now it is launching my browser. Now you can see all the products got displayed. So this command is optional. Okay, sometimes if it is not loaded properly, so then you can specify wait for selector, or else you can just comment this. So even if you comment this, sometimes it will work. So let me try to execute after commenting the statement. So launching my browser, now you can see this time it is not displayed the products. So it depends on the performance. So you can just add the statement if sometime it is taking, or else directly it will print all the products. Okay. So this is how we can find multiple web elements. This is how we can simply find multiple web elements on the web page. So far, what we have learned is we have learned how to locate specific web elements and how to locate multiple web elements. So to locate specific web elements, we have to use this method, await page.locator or directly page.click or page.fill. So these are action methods actually based on the type of elements. So these methods will be changed, fill, type, click on everything. So in the coming sessions, I will discuss about these methods. So to locate multiple web elements, you can say page.$$, and here specify the locator which will able to match with multiple web elements, and that will return the multiple web elements. Okay, so the locators means either any property you can use, whatever unique property which is available for that element in the DOM, you can use that property. It can be ID, name, CSS, text, whatever you want. And then CSS, you can create your own CSS and we can use it. And XPath, all kinds of object XPath, relative XPath, and XPath with different type of functions and different type of XPath access. All this stuff will be supported. Okay, so that is all about today's video. So in the next video, we will see some more topics. That's all for this. Thanks for watching. We'll see in the next video.